Now, at the last count, about 18 persons are seeking to become governor of the state, including the incumbent FAYEMI. And this election has been deemed to be very relevant and very critical. The Consul General of the United States Embassy in Nigeria, Jeffrey Hawkins, says it is critical because it will determine how the general elections will go in 2015. And to buttress the fact that this election is critical, the Commissioner for Police in the state, Felix Uyana, says about 13,000 policemen will be deployed to the state to monitor these elections. The jury's out on who the leading contenders will be in these elections. We have the incumbent FAYEMI, who is the candidate of the All Progressives Congress. We have FAYEMI Bamidele, a current member of the House of Representatives, himself a former member of the Action Congress of Nigeria, which merged into the APC, but now representing the Labour Party as its candidate in these elections. We have a former governor of the state, Ayodele FAYOSE, whose first term as governor in 2003 was truncated after 2 years. He says he has 2 terms to come back to complete. Of course, we have the candidates of the SDP, we have the Accord Party with Bankole Ajayi, we have Adeniji Phillips of the UDP, there's Adekola Ayo of the SDP, and of course, FAYEMI Akinyemi, who represents Action Alliance. That's just 8 out of 18 candidates. And each candidate has die-hard supporters. So join me after the break as I'm spending 60 minutes in Ekiti State, getting a feel of what to expect from these elections, talking to the major players that will play a role in these elections. Well, it's almost 9 p.m. here in Ado-Ekiti. It is the campaign headquarters of the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the forthcoming governorship elections in Ekiti State. Ekiti State is in the southwest region of Nigeria with a landmass of 6,353 square kilometers. This is the campaign headquarters for Ayo FAYOSE. And I had the privilege of interviewing him sometime in 2011 when he was going for the Senate. At that time, he was supporting the incumbent governor, FAYEMI. Today, he happens to be in the same election. FAYEMI is seeking a second term as governor. His term ends on midnight on the 15th day of October 2014. Who will be the next governor? Well, Ayo FAYOSE fancies himself as the man to beat in this election. Before he could get the ticket of the People's Democratic Party, it was a thorny road for Ayo FAYOSE. Don't forget, he had been governor in 2003, having defeated Niyi Adebayo, who was the governor at the time from 1999 to 2003. At the time his party suspended him, he said, and I quote, "My suspension is laughable and meaningless. It's like somebody stopped his heart from pumping. I am the engine room of the People's Democratic Party here in Ekiti State." Make no mistake about it, he has triumphed over 13 other PDP members who were interested in this governorship seat of Ekiti State. All 13 wanted a consensus candidate. Ayo FAYOSE opted for primaries, and he won against all odds. I like to call him the cat with 9 lives. In my introduction, I spoke about how you said, I am the engine room of the People's Democratic Party in Ekiti State. How can you be the engine room? There were 13 other members of the PDP who also wanted to contest this seat. And many people, I'm sure you've watched on my program, were surprised that you emerged as the candidate.
Well, I said so in 2011, but this is 2014. That goes to confirm it if I finally emerge as the flag bearer of the party. And let me tell you very expressly that as a former governor of the state, I have a reasonable clout to be able to galvanize support for this party. When I say engine room, I have a reasonable support base.
Yes.
You see, it doesn't matter what my opponents might say. Everybody in Nigeria can attest the fact that I'm a grassroots politician.
When you say you're a grassroots politician, what does that mean?
I am on ground. I live with the people. I know their language. They know my language. You see, there's a difference between governor and being the leader of the people. You could hardly find people that combines the two. You can be a governor, you can be an MD and not be the leader of the people. I combine the two by the grace of God. And that is why you have them call me Oshoko. Oshoko Mole, that is the longer version.
Yes.
Oshoko Mole means leader of all leaders. A man who says and will obey.
Yeah.
I have been in this game upward of about 14 years. And let me bring it like this. I left office 8 years ago, about 8 years ago. If a man who left office in that very, very, very controversial circumstance
Yes.
can still have this leverage,
Yes.
something is fundamentally right about him. He must be doing something very rightly. And let me remind you very quickly that in 2009,
Yeah.
when there was supposed to be a rerun, there was a rerun between Shaguni
Yes.
and FAYEMI.
Yes.
You will recall I became the bride.
Yeah. The beautiful bride.
Bride.
Yes.
Most of them who claim today, I am this, I am that. I was their savior. I was the man that gave, by the grace of God, a support base, the necessary catalyst, the catalyst in the game,
Yes.
that gave the support to Governor Kayode FAYEMI then. You can deny it today. That's not the issue. The issue is that everybody in Nigeria attests to the fact that I am a grassroots politician. And the youths of Ekiti, the grassroots particularly, gave me a name. They gave me an award. You know, when you talk about lawyers, they call them SAN.
Yes.
Now mine is Senior Advocate of the Masses, the man that is there for the masses.
Yes.
And in the Yoruba version, they call me Ore Mekunu. You see, you can't take all these things away from me.
I don't see how you help yourself. You know, when I see headlines like this, I'm now a better man, FAYOSE.
Yes, yeah.
You know, isn't that an admission from you that you were not a good man before?
No, it doesn't imply that at all. 8 years after, structurally, you are a new man. Physically, you are a new man. Mentally, you are a new man. There are a lot of words into that. Your enemies can brand it in that direction. Maybe
yes.
you were once a bad man that changed. No. A lady at 13 and a lady at 20 is a new lady. It's a different ball game.
Yes.
They will call that lady a girl, 13.
Yes.
They will call the 120 a lady. So it's a world of difference. You can tune it whatever way you like. I am a better man, more matured, more responsive, more responsible. There are certain things that comes with age.
Yes.
Obama, first time, is the different Obama now. And FAYEMI will not say, FAYEMI will not say, the FAYEMI before governor is the same FAYEMI now. Life is lived in lessons.
Yes.
Life is a changing phase that transforms who you are. Maybe then I wasn't too good a listener. Maybe I'm more mature to be a better listener. So FAYOSE has grown more in age, in wisdom, in knowledge, and in understanding.
And because you said you were the beautiful bride,
yes.
You know, at that time, I remember that you were in the Labour Party, but you were giving all the support to Governor FAYEMI. So I suppose the question is, what has FAYEMI done wrong that has made you not want to support him anymore, and you've decided to throw your hat in the ring yourself?
Let me put this very right. You see, the conscience is an open wound. It's such a sad situation when I wrong you and I call it politics. And instead of living by the truth, because I didn't acknowledge the truth,
Yes.
I will need 10 lies to cure one. And as a result, I keep on lying and lying and lying. Without due respect, I wouldn't say my governor is lying, because he's my governor. Up and until October 15th this year, he will remain my governor. And I won't desecrate the office of a governor. I will not do that. For simple reasons. To get to the office of a governor is not easy, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So when I see some people, even on your program, like Senator Ujudu, like the DG of Governor FAYEMI, insulting me, and saying all sorts, I wish to remind them that Governor FAYEMI will become an ex-governor one day. And they too should struggle to be a governor. And I want to counsel them and counsel leaders of the state and beyond, whatever it is. Governors are leaders and they are burden bearers. The fact that you want to give an impression that you want to remain in office does not say you should destroy anyone. I won't come on any program and destroy any one of them, because we don't vote ourselves. People vote for us. All I have to sell is my program. At every point I see Governor FAYEMI, I will have to respect him. I'm older than him. I was governor before him. But by all means and all grace, he's the governor today. So I want to chip that in, that Senator Ujudu, especially Honorable Mboda Amola, my very good brother.
Are you friends with them?
Honestly, I'm friends with all of them. You know, the issue here is you won't get mileage by destroying anyone. You see, when 4 people are saying, oh, you did well, 6 will be saying that you are not a matured man. You are not a man of maturity. They will have to tell you later that some sycophants will tell you, oh, you did well by insulting him. Insults don't go to votes. I'll continue to respect all of them. And the more reason why I said to you, I am a better man, in more understanding and knowledge and appreciation of persons. Ayo FAYOSE, a man that has grown better than the past. If you give me another opportunity to walk this way again, I will do it better. And if you give FAYEMI an opportunity, he will do it better.
Yeah.
Now, let us see. Governor FAYEMI on one side, APC. Governor Shagoni on one side, APC. Governor Adebayo on one side, APC. Yes. And Governor FAYOSE on another side. I'm confronting the 3 of them. And it's going to be a very pleasant history that I'm going to make there.
An interesting race.
Yes.
And interesting, you mentioned Dr. Shagoni. Were you surprised when he decamped? You said you called it good riddance. But I thought, you know, how can it be good riddance? You cannot put a value on the currency that your predecessor will bring to the table, especially if he's supporting you.
I'll be facing 3 governors, former governors.
Yes.
1 sitting and 2 former governors. It's the truth that wants to play out now. And the moment I defeat the 3 of them, it will now be obvious who owns the ring, who is in charge. I wouldn't expect anything less from Governor Shagoni. You remember I didn't support him in 2009.
Yes.
So this is a replay. But he won, despite the fact that I did not support him. This time too, I will win, despite the fact that he does not support me.
Are you confident that you will defeat Dr. FAYEMI?
By the grace of God. Let me say to you again, by the grace of God, I will defeat him in his local government.
In his local
I will not defeat him in his hometown. I will defeat him in his local government, by the grace of God. You see, it is not even about me. It's about the people of Ekiti State.
You think the people of Ekiti State don't want him again?
The body language of the people is like the tailwind of an aeroplane today for me. Governor FAYEMI is no longer popular. And that is not personal.
Yes.
It's not personal. Let me take you through a few things. Governor FAYEMI knocked face with the teachers because of the exams and all.
What is wrong with the competence test?
There's nothing wrong with the competence test, but there's something wrong with the directives, the way it is being done. There's a lot wrong about it. You see, you could give directives, but when you're subordinate, when people are supposed to be answerable to you,
Yes.
for the first time says no to you, second time says no to you, third time says no to you, you've lost the ground. And may I say to you, the same Governor FAYEMI went back to the stadium 3 weeks ago and says, I have withdrawn the test. That is a policy somersault. I became governor 2003. Governor Adebayo handed over to me in Nigeria using 5 principal subjects as yardstick.
Yes.
In credit minimum. Ekiti was number 35 in Nigeria. I took over, and in 2004 we came to number 18 in WAEC and number 19 in NECO. In Southwest we were number 5 and number 6 the list. In 2005 we came to number 13 and number 17.
WAEC and NECO.
WAEC and NECO. In 2006 we came to number 7 and number 8 in Nigeria. If I didn't leave that saddle, we would have been number 1 in Nigeria. In Southwest, we came to number 1 and number 2. The fact speaks for itself. I have all the documents, and they can be confirmed with the Ministry of Education. The simple reason, you must come down to the level of the people you are leading. In my own case, I had to put the teachers on the driver's seat. I had to respect them. I had to love them. I had to do what, like how would I put it? Behave like a fool to get them, to get these students and education better off. So, I am not a doctor. They claim I'm not educated. I'm only an HND holder. But do you need all the education in this world to be able to know somebody is hungry? You need all the professors and all the doctorate degrees to be able to know the roads are not tarred? Let me say it expressly that Governor FAYEMI has plunged Ekiti education into the waters. As I speak to you, the doctors are on strike. The judiciary has striked severally. The teachers have striked for more than 2 months in this state. And civil servants on and on. In my tenure, there was no civil unrest, no day of strike. The very day Governor FAYEMI changed the name of Ekiti, the identity of Ekiti, there are 2 identities. You can say an Ekiti man likes pounded yam.
Yes.
You can't deny that. It's our identity. You can say an Ekiti man loves education. And that was why they gave us fountain of knowledge. Governor FAYEMI has taken away the fountain. The fountain is empty. There's no water. That's the more reason where we have lost grounds totally in education. Sometimes the Yoruba man will say your name equally has certain things that he will do in your way of life.
Yes.
Because our name has been changed from fountain of knowledge, then there's no more fountain. The fountain is dried up. I will bring back the fountain. And I will make sure that I will go back to fountain of knowledge. Because that is our identity. Go to anywhere in the world, establishment where you have people of high and mighty in education or beyond industries, you find an Ekiti man, like an Igbo man, you will find him in any village. You will find an Ekiti man professor or doctor anywhere in the world. If we are not careful the rate at which we are going, we will have a brain drain in Ekiti. All in the name of propaganda. They're into propaganda, they are not into reality. Before you can drive an Ekiti man, we are all strong-headed people. Nobody in Ekiti man believes in himself. Yeah. For you to direct an Ekiti man, you have to come to his level. When I was governor of this state, at my departure, despite all my achievements, I left 10.4 billion in the coffers of Ekiti. I was the first governor in early 2004 that said Ekiti is not poor. Indeed, we are not poor. When I was governor, I said expressly, the maximum per kilometer of road in terms of money that I awarded was about 33 million. Shegboni awarded up to about 48, 50 million. Today, 1 kilometer of road in Ekiti is about 1 billion. That is the trend here. The revolution going on in Ekiti against the APC, with all due respect to my Governor FAYEMI, is unbelievable. They will all see the shock on election day. It's an isolated election that nobody can play with. On roads, Ekiti, I want Governor FAYEMI to meet me in a debate and tell me one road started by his administration from bush clearing.
What about the 5 kilometers?
I'm coming, sweetheart. We are talking about trunk A roads. We are talking about main artery in our state. Not roads that you go to grade and put surface dressing on top. His Excellency must tell us which road did he start from bush clearing, taking away the topsoil, backfilling, drainage works, culverts, compacting, surface dressing, asphalt overlay from scratch. The owner of the road is the man that starts it from scratch. Governor FAYEMI is only a repairer, with all due respect to him, because I must not abuse my governor. He's only a repairer. Let me say it clearly to you. I started the dualization, I brought it to completion, the dualization of Ado-Ekiti roads. That is why they call me the architect of modern Ekiti. Forget the propaganda. From Ikere-Ekiti, the gateway to Ekiti, where I left it, that's where it is today. From Ikere-Ekiti to the entire Ado-Ekiti to Fajui. I constructed it to Inyi Road by the police headquarters, to Ilawe Road by maybe Muslim high school along Ilawe Road, to the state hospital. If you connect this road from Ikere to Ado-Ekiti, even at Fajui, it's the same distance from state hospital where I stopped it to Ifaki. They've been on this road for upwards since I left 8 years ago. Yet to be completed. Variation over 6-7 billion on it. I constructed Ikere to Ado-Ekiti for 1.9 million, and I constructed the other two for 2.1 billion. If we are painting a picture deceiving the public, the people will revolt one day. We are getting to the level of revolution.
Join us again after the break. Perhaps no one has ever done 2 terms in Ekiti State because they've never performed, and the people have never wanted them back, because they haven't performed.
I don't even think the question has arisen before in Ekiti. Let's look at the record. Only one governor has ever completed a 4-year term in Ekiti. Otumbani Adebayo. So you cannot base an assertion on a conjecture. You must base your assertion on evidence that you can clearly demonstrate as true. Governor Lumilua, the only Ekiti man that we had who was governor in Ondo State, the old Ondo State at the time, did not even have the opportunity to finish the 4-year term. Remember, this was 93. He only spent 2 years in office, less than 2 years, before General Abacha came in November 1993 to take the government by force. And then, under this dispensation, 1999 to 2013, there's been no basis for it. So how can you argue that nobody has ever done something when there's been no basis to put forward such an argument?
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Well, welcome back. And so on June 21, 2014, it's a Saturday, the people of Ekiti State in the southwest region of Nigeria will be electing a new governor. The current governor, Kayode Fayemi's term ends at midnight on 15th of October 2014. A lot of questions have been raised about his education policies. In fact, the former governor, FAYOSE, says that since Dr. Fayemi's administration, things have dipped in education in the state. So join me after the break as I meet the Commissioner for Environment, Dr. Eniola Ajayi, who was Commissioner for Education here in the state for 2 years when Dr. Fayemi first got into the seat as governor of the state. I know you're the Commissioner for the Environment. We'll get to that in a bit, but I wanted to take you up on education. You were Commissioner for Education for 2 years when Dr. Fayemi became governor. And after speaking with the former governor, FAYOSE, he made me understand that at the time he was governor, after the period he was governor, education standards were actually improving on WAEC and on NECO. He says from like 17th position at the time he left. The state was like 8th you know, graded among all the states of the Federation. But today, the standard of education has dipped, and he says, because this governor is unable to manage his relationships with the teachers.
Really and truly, it's really funny. The period he talked about was garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
It was a time when a graduate of our secondary schools could not put or string sentences of English together and it would be correct. And at the time, he was just promoting anybody without any standards. So what we have today is not to be able to join issues with the then governor who made such allusions. First of all, I don't know whether those statistics he quoted were right, because I was on top of the statistics as to the quality of education in Ekiti.
Right.
And the facts today speak for themselves. I'll just mention a few. One is the fact that when we came on board, we had 3 universities that were not really up to par. And with the coming of this administration, we had a seamless merger of the then University of Education in Ikere,
Right.
University of Science and Technology in Ushi, as well as the then University of Ado-Ekiti, which is what we now have as Ekiti State University.
Right.
And the facts of the matter is that we moved from 79th position on the university grading scale across the country for both private and public universities to 19th position.
From 70?
From 79 to 19th. We moved 60 places. At the time the governor took over office, the College of Education in Ikere was no longer in existence by law. They had repealed the law that established that college.
Right.
Today we brought it back. Not only did we do that, we reorganized institutions. Now we have top scholars. I mean first-class people who now run both institutions.
Right.
That is a fact. The fact is that our students were not doing well at all in school as per the quality of education that they were getting. The fact as of today is that we can boast of students of Ekiti who have gone to do international and national competitions and have come out on top.
Yes.
The fact is that in the past few years, our teachers have been nominated as the best teachers in Nigeria 2 years in a row. As some of our schools are schools that have been nominated as the best suburb school across Nigeria.
Yes.
These are the facts of the case. At the time we came on board, there was lopsided enrollment in our schools. For example, at the time, the JS1 in Christ Girls School had 535 students.
Yes.
While in Ado Grammar School, between SS1 and SS3, they had only 91 students in the entire school. And they had the full strength of teachers because you had to provide that. So what we did was we streamlined the enrollment across Ekiti, whereby you had a maximum of 240 students per year in Ado and Ikere, and in other parts of Ekiti, we had 200.
Yes.
And then we did even distribution of teachers across the state. So every school was properly served. And apart from that, we now have instituted in this government payment of allowances for teachers teaching in rural areas and those teaching core subjects. And this has improved the morale of our teachers across the state.
Yes.
We are not the kind of government that gives out things that are substandard or give them out in a funny fashion. For example, under this administration, a teacher now qualifies to get to the level of level 17. When we came on board, there were no tutor generals for the state. Now we have, and they now have the status of permanent secretaries. These are some of the things we did. In our area education offices and our education secretaries for the primary schools, they didn't have any form of mobility to do school inspection. In one fell swoop, the governor bought 32 new cars for the inspectorate in the education sector. The different things that we did that made meaningful contributions are the policies. Apart from things like computers for students, those are good things. We bought textbooks for core subjects. The government had not bought scientific reagents for God knows how many years.
Yes.
We started those things. Is it capital grants to higher institutions? There's so many things I can point to, but the one that touches my heart the most is the one whereby we paid a lot of attention to our students in special schools.
What are special schools?
Special schools are schools for the blind, schools for the deaf, and those who are physically challenged. Now, in this state, we not only changed even the names that they're called, they had not bought a single instructional materials for those students in 8 years. We bought Braille computers. We bought things that can make them function as the regular person on the street. And those schools are well looked after. Their accommodations are renovated. We bought so many things for the well-being of those children. That is something that people don't know on the streets of Ekiti, that this government has done. Before we came, nobody had bought anything for sports facilities in our schools. We rectified that by making sure that every school in Ekiti got one sporting equipment or the other. They got more than one. They got many. There are too many things I can point to that improve the quality of education. Now, what you have is in the days of the former governor you mentioned, you could have special students in special centers who will come and write exams and create a problem for the system. You would have maybe 300 and something students writing those exams at different centers, miracle and regular. But today, you could have a school producing only 5 candidates for WAEC, because those ones are the ones that are fit to sit for WAEC. Qualified. And we now have good quality education going on in our schools.
And what are the statistics today? You have more children passing WAEC and NECO exams?
In some local governments in the state, we got as high as 83% of people. And then in that particular local government, we had people who had 5 credits. We call it effective credits, including maths and English. And in that particular local government, we had about 77% of our students. So it's not just a situation of presenting candidates for WAEC and having a lot of garbage in, garbage out, certificates that they couldn't work with. In fact, before we came, I mustn't forget this, EXU had not graduated their students in terms of proper convocation, giving them certificates for 12 years.
The state university?
The state university. When we came on board, we rectified all that. We were able to sort out the backlog of students, give them their certificates. Now they graduate today as at when due. In fact, if I begin to talk about the infrastructural developments since this government came into being, it would be that I'm not even representing the governor who is an academician properly. What do I mean by that? We do not place value on structures and buildings. In spite of the fact that those things are very important, what is important to us is the output of the children that are graduating through those institutions. But if you wanted to talk about infrastructural development, you need to go to Ekiti State University and the College of Education and our schools across Ekiti State. The infrastructural development is unprecedented and it's been fantastic. It's mind-blowing.
And one of the hurdles I had identified in preparing for these election interviews, I call them, is the fact that it looks like Dr. Fayemi might have a problem with the teachers. I remember speaking with you years ago about this teacher development test. It still seems, well, speaking with ex-Governor FAYOSE, he says the teachers are very unhappy with this administration over those development tests. They feel that the government wasn't working hand in hand with them, and they feel victimized by government's insistence on doing those tests.
Well, what I have to say is that part of the reasons that even the teachers, because since he's come out straight to say this, I have to say that he actually instigated what caused the problems between us then and the teachers, because we had our own reports as well. The truth of the matter is that today, if you would ask the teachers one-on-one, they will tell you that during the time until today, even with the current commissioner that I served as Commissioner for Education, it was always and has always been an open door policy with them. We took them, we carried them along from day one. But the politicians at the time, mainly this man who is now making claims that they are unhappy with us,
Yes.
instigated some of them to cause a problem because of his own ambition. Right. But today I can say to you categorically that the teachers have seen through it all, because they see me on the streets and they greet me with special salutation, and they acknowledge the contributions that we made in education even during my time.
Yes.
The truth of the matter today is that the crop of teachers we have in Ekiti, they understand truth from lies, and they know that this governor always meant well for them. He's just not somebody who would just say something for saying so, for the purpose of just getting votes.
Yes.
I'm sure the teachers of Ekiti, they know that Governor FAYEMI cares about them. And because he's a listening governor in all other aspects of governance, it's not possible for him to single out teachers as a group not to listen to.
Yes. So were any teachers sacked because they didn't do the competency tests?
No, they weren't sacked. In fact, the word is not competency. The word that were professionally given and to us by those who had done this in other states.
Yes.
DFID did it through ESPIN in Lagos, in Kwara, and even Kano, other states in the Federation.
Right.
Is what you call Teachers Development Needs Assessment. It was just meant to assess the level of the needs, the gaps, so that we can do a training program that was tailored to the needs, not do a one-size-fits-all kind of training. And we also needed it to figure out what you call master teachers. Because what obtains everywhere else in the world is team teaching, where you identify somebody who's particularly good at a subject, and that person is able to lead the others by the hand.
Yes.
And show them the way. That was what that was meant for. But it was politicized. They used it to create a problem between the government and the teachers. And the truth of the matter is that nobody was sacked and nobody is going to be sacked. Right. Because what we believe in, even as a person, my personal philosophy is that when you take something, you don't leave it with the way you met it. You make it better. Yes. Because I believe that greatness does not consist in being great, but the ability to make others great. And that's the policy of this administration. When we meet something, we improve on it, we don't destroy it.
Right. So join us again after the break. Perhaps no one has ever done 2 terms in Ekiti State because they've never performed, and the people have never wanted them back, because they haven't performed.
I don't even think the question has arisen before in Ekiti. Let's look at the record. Only one governor has ever completed a 4-year term in Ekiti. Otumbani Adebayo. So you cannot base an assertion on a conjecture. You must base your assertion on evidence that you can clearly demonstrate as true. Governor Lumilua, the only Ekiti man that we had who was governor in Ondo State, the old Ondo State at the time, did not even have the opportunity to finish the 4-year term. Remember, this was 93. He only spent 2 years in office, but less than 2 years, before General Abacha came in November 1993 to take the government by force. And then, under this dispensation, 1999 to 2013, there's been no basis for it. So how can you argue that nobody has ever done something when there's been no basis to put forward such an argument?
60 Minutes with Angela. Again, answers to every question you always wanted to ask.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela Ajetumobi. Now, one of the areas in which a lot of people think Governor FAYEMI will be challenged is in the education sector. He says to me that standards have improved, examination results are getting better now in the state. Former Governor FAYOSE says that in your time, education has dipped. He says that when he was governor, the rating of the state as far as WAEC, West African Examinations Council exams, and the NECO exams, Ekiti State was performing better. And probably because you've been unable to manage the situation with the teachers who feel intimidated by your insistence on a test that at best they think is an opportunity, an avenue to sack teachers, may be responsible for that.
You know, opinion is always free, but facts are sacred. Yes. I don't want to engage in tittle-tattle over, during my time I had this, I didn't have this. What statistics is being quoted? Who provided that information? This is independently verifiable information. Yes. Let us bring out the records from the various schools and then make a distinction between results procured via miracle centers and results that are produced under the toil and hard work of students. Because our education reform agenda is an integrated agenda. It's not just about teachers' assessments. Yes. The quality of teachers is, I would say, a tiny component of the overarching framework relating to education reform. It focuses on the environment in which these students are being taught, the learning environment, the teaching environment. When Mr. FAYOSE was governor, virtually all the schools were rickety. I knew what I made when I became governor and what I had to do to all the schools in the state. The evidence is also there for people to see. Throughout the time FAYOSE was governor, he never incentivized the teachers once with a salary raise. Not once. The same teachers that he's claiming to love, it is your actions that will demonstrate what you love. It's not the lip service you pay to this. I've just told you about the salaries increase thrice in 3.5 years of this government being in office. Yes. In addition to that, we have introduced new incentives to ensure that our children in the rural areas can also have the benefit of good teachers. Yes. We have recruited more teachers. Yes, we want teachers to be prepared in order to impart knowledge to our students because we feel that it's a continuous process. If we build your capacity as teachers, there also must be an opportunity for your students and your peers to assess you. There's nothing wrong with that. We will never apologize about that. Because for us, it is the improvement of our teachers and the improvement of our students that is the ultimate objective here. It's not...
Is it punitive?
There's nothing punitive about it. And the reason why I always say this is that we have recruited more teachers in this state during my time in office. Yes. And we have not sacked one teacher in this state.
In spite of all the brouhaha?
In spite of all the brouhaha you're talking about, yes. We have not sacked a single teacher in this state. And I challenge anyone to come up with anything contrary to that we have sacked a teacher. Of course, there is natural attrition. Yes. Teachers will retire. We can't stop that from happening. But if you also flout any regulation, there are standard ways of dealing with that. There are civil service procedures of dealing with that. You also cannot legislate against that. Yes. But we have not sacked any teacher on account of failing an examination or not. That's not the idea. Yes. What that test was development needs assessment. Which areas do you need to improve on? Yes. Not which areas are we going to use as an excuse to retrench you. Those are two different things. Right. And the Nigerian Union of Teachers in Ekiti cannot say they are averse to improving the lot of their teachers. And they know what we have done to improve that with capacity building, both locally and internationally. Yes. It's just that politicians being who we are, we always latch on to all manner of opportunistic agenda. And that basically is what FAYOSE was doing when he said that. Yeah. But as per improvement, the improvement is clear. Ekiti is on an upswing as far as public examination is concerned, either at the lower level, the junior secondary school, or at the WASC senior secondary school examination.
I don't know if you saw that text message going around about your intention to sack civil servants who I have encouraged, in inverted commas here, were encouraged to register as APC members. They're saying that if you don't support FAYEMI's second term, you will abolish their leave bonuses.
Angela, what sense does that make? Ekiti civil servants are not stupid. They're probably some of the most intelligent civil servants you have anywhere in this country. And I must commend them from the way they've supported the work, the reforms. Yes, I have come with reforms. And reforms are not painless. But there is no gain without pain. The reality is that politicians like a saccharine mentality. And we like to push the goody-goody agenda.
Yes.
Because we want the people to have a feel-good factor. There's nothing wrong with that. The reality is often more complicated than that. And people also reward integrity. They reward honesty in a politician. Of course, now Ekiti people know, and they will tell you, if he's not going to do it, he's not going to say it. Yeah. If FAYEMI says it, he would do it. Why would anybody write that? It's a season of lies. Leave bonus is often part of a contract of any employee, yes. And it is usually 10% of your basic salary. So whoever wants to abolish your leave bonus wants to abolish your employment. So can I abolish your leave bonus without abolishing your employment? It doesn't make any sense. But they hope that this is the Goebbelsian logic. A lie repeatedly told hopefully would acquire the character of the truth if it is not challenged. But we will not let it lie low. We would continue to let our people know that this is the agenda of these people. And it's interesting, 3 weeks to election, APC is the only party with a manifesto that the people can hold us to task on. No other party has come out with their agenda for Ekiti. The only agenda they have, Labour, PDP, is to attack anything that FAYEMI wants to do or that FAYEMI is doing, or to even ape in their own policy on the hoof, yes. Policy on the rostrum that they do. Without costing, without analysis, what FAYEMI has done is what they tell the people they're going to do. Our people are not stupid. They know that they have no agenda for them. I have come out. I had an agenda before. It was an 8-point agenda. You talked about it. And I can point to specific, measurable ways in which I have accomplished the tasks.
People think there's a disconnect between you and the ordinary man on the streets of Ekiti. Why is that?
Perception. People...
Is it because you have a PhD?
Look, I get this talk about PhD and being an academic and being this and that a lot.
Yes.
I don't want to apologize for the benefit of having a good education. That's what Ekiti is known for. Yes. We've always had a good education here. It's only recently that things became pear-shaped, and that's what we're trying to correct now, because you have people who came into the scene and managed to force-feed the people with the notion that it was all right to be an illiterate. Yeah. It was fine not to have a decent pedigree, not to have antecedents that are clear, that are consistent with the values that we promote in this society. Yeah. I'm not going to apologize that my antecedents are very well known in this state. You can trace my roots. You can trace the schools. You can trace what I have done. You know my pedigree. You are not going to get into any debate about whether I went to the school I claimed I went or not. So I am not going to apologize for that. Yes. The bottom line is the man on the street also wants a leader he can look up to. The man on the street wants a mentor. The man on the street, yes, in the short term, he may enjoy the cheap populism of you sitting down with him and drinking Gary or Bolly and say, yes, I was with the governor. If you keep doing that every day, the man will start wondering, is he really the governor? Or he doesn't have any work to do, he just comes here to sit with me and say he's a mekunu. But as I always say, if you're a mekunu and somebody says he's your friend, stand back and ask yourself, how has this person made my life better? I've just told you about teachers.
Yes.
In 3.5 years of Governor FAYOSE being in office, the lot of the teachers did not improve one jot. Materially, the lot of tourism did not improve one jot. In fact, Ikogosi, all the things there were carted away. Governor FAYOSE prides himself more often than not on roads. The roads he constructed were the worst roads in this state. Roads that Governor Adebayo constructed, some of them still stand till today in terms of quality. The roads constructed under Governor FAYOSE, most of them were washed away after one rainy season. So if that is what he has to sell to the people,
Yes.
the people are not fools, particularly Ekiti people. They're discerning, even when they are rustic and rural, they always have people around them. There's hardly a home you go to in Ekiti where you don't have a graduate
Yes.
who can give you a basic understanding of what is going on. So when people say, oh, he does not connect, he is not a grassroots person, you're going to tell that to the old women who will wait in the hot sun for me when I'm campaigning and refuse to go until they see FAYEMI, who has been taking care of me. Without him, I probably would have died, and they would insist on praying for me at campaign rallies. You're going to say that to the road transport workers who are solidly behind this administration because of the benefits they've received. You will say that to the youth who have taken up agric, the fish farmers, the poultry farmers, the cassava farmers. So what is this grassroots? The people.
Yes.
If it is the people, cheap populism does not do it for them. It's food on their table. Ultimately, that will do it. Because, yes, temporary excitement might come. If you have an entertainer, people love entertainment. But at the end of the day, they ask themselves, what's my takeaway from this? Yeah. And when it comes to crunch, that's the question people would ask themselves. When they want to thumb that ballot,
Yes.
they will ask themselves that question. What has been my takeaway from all this?
Well, that's it for this week. I suppose a lot of you will be sending your messages by Twitter to Dr. Kayode FAYEMI as he goes into the elections. He will be pleased to hear from you, whatever it is, if it's criticism, if it's praise, and also I'm sure you will let me know. Like 60 Minutes with Angela on Facebook. Alternatively, follow me on Twitter, Angela at 60 Minutes. I'm Angela Ajetumobi. I thank you for the pleasure of your company.